Now we are continuing what we began this week, and we're talking about Moses. We're talking about how Moses took the Jews out of Egypt, but more importantly, he revealed the Torah. He revealed the Torah, and he told the Jews what God wants. The Torah. That's the Torah. So now everybody knows what God wants. That's the Torah. So it says Moses, not only by giving the Torah, especially, he brought permanence to this physical world. He made the world itself, if done according to the Torah, the world itself becomes permanent. And every deed that Moses did became permanent. How did Moses have the power to do this? Moses was a special person. Moshe was a special person. Moshe was called an Ish Elohim. He was called a God man. He was half man, half God. Of course, this makes absolutely no sense, but it's true. The whole business makes no sense. The Jewish people were in Egypt 210 years, and they just left. One day they just left, right? Millions of them, they just left. And there were all these plagues in Egypt, and God split the sea for them, and he gave them the whole story is just, it's just, how do you call it? I call it fantastic. Seems like a big fantasy. How can it possibly be? Right? God he split the sea. I mean, okay, you can say there was natural processes that did this whole thing, right? There was some sort of gravitational force, and that's what split the sea. And the 10 plagues, that was a whole series of biophysical plagues and things like that happened or something like that. And God gave the Torah. No, it wasn't really God gave the Torah. Moses, he was the one that did it. But it says the Jewish people all heard God. It says their souls jumped out of their bodies. They all served. So we can say, okay, they made it up. The Jews, the whole thing is just all made up, right? And it's a big made up story. It never happened. It just was. They never left Egypt. It was written by some guy. He sat at home, took LSD or something, and he had this imagination. And amazingly, millions of Jews have accepted this story for 3,300 years. Nobody caught on, hey, what are we doing? This is wrong. And they've been giving their lives for it. So that doesn't mean that it's true. It doesn't mean that it's true. And even more, when the Jews themselves experienced it, they also said, okay, so it's true. So what? So God took us out of Egypt to give us the Torah. So what? Okay, so what? But I believe it. He gave us the Torah. And he goes, that means I can't. I have to live my life according to what he said. Right? I'm his prisoner. I do what I want to. Right? So there's a million reasons, not a million, but there's certainly, several hundred really good ones not to do the Torah, not to believe the whole story, not to have anything to do with it. Just live your life. Don't ask any questions. Just forget about it, right? And it says that's what Jewish people have been doing since the Torah has been given. In fact, they did it immediately 40 days after the Torah was given. They worshiped the golden calf. So the Jews have a way to get around the what do you want to call it? The truth. But the truth keeps coming back. And the truth is that the Jews really were slaves in Egypt, and they really did get out by means of miracles, and they really did receive the Torah. And this whole thing was because of Moses. And in fact, Moses' presence was so essential to Judaism that when the Jews just thought that Moses wasn't going to come back from Mount Sinai, so they worshiped the golden calf, which that's just totally incomprehensible. Doesn't make any sense, right? Doesn't make any sense. It's like a woman, her husband comes late from work one day, so she goes and gets married to somebody else. You said you were going to be back at 6, right? You came back at 7, and that's why I got married to Joe, the next door neighbor. What is that? What are you talking about? We've been married for 50 years. I provided for you, have the children. Yeah, but you came back late. I didn't think you were going to come at all. And I did that. I mean, that's just insane. All the Jewish people did it. Moses went up on Mount Sinai, and he came back. It says an hour, 6 hours late, an hour late. He came back a little bit late, right? Good. But the Jewish people said, came back late. Must be that he's not going to come back. Let's worship the golden calf, right? How did that happen? It doesn't make any sense. So the whole thing doesn't make any sense. And the Rebbe is trying to rectify it right now. The Rebbe is trying to rectify it. You don't have to do only what makes sense. Our very existence doesn't make sense. Right now we see the world has gone to the opposite pole. Right, the opposite pole. This whole woke movement. The whole woke movement is forget about making sense. Forget about facts. Forget about do only what you want. What you want. You want to be a woman, you're a woman. You want to be a man, you're a man. You want to be a giraffe, you want to be a cow, you want to be a rock. Whatever you want to do, just do it. Whatever you want to. Just try not to hurt anybody else. When you go into the women's bathroom and it's the men's bathroom, you know, and you go, everything just has become meaningless. Just meaningless. That's what. So you want to be meaningless. You don't want to be meaningless in a good way. So this is what we get: meaningless in a self-destructive way. Self-destructive way. Okay, let's go back to the point. Let's go reset. The whole story depends on Moses. If Moses isn't there, the Jews go berserk. The Jews would have never left Egypt. They would have returned to Egypt. They wouldn't have gotten the Torah. It all depends on Moshe. We would not have the Torah today. We would not have the commandments if it wasn't for Moshe. And there has to be a Moshe in every generation. If Moshe leaves, then there's no Jewish people. No Jewish people. They intermarry. They don't marry at all. Who knows what they do, right? And then there's no more Jewish people. It has to be a Moshe. So it says, who is this Moshe? What's this thing? It says Moshe is half God, half man, and it's hinted at by his name. Moshe, the word Moshe means that he was drawn from the water. That's the essence of God. Ish means he was in the world, and Elohim, that he was godliness. That connects between the essence of Moshe and okay. So it says this is all hinted at by the psalm we're saying this year, and this was the year of the Rebbe's birthday when the Rebbe was speaking. When it was Rebbe is, so it says, this is the Psalm of King David, which is called the Psalm of Moses. So let's go. I brought this up. Here we go. A prayer for Moses, the man of God. Tefillah, a prayer of Moses. That's the essence of Moses. Elohim, that's the go-between, the godliness which is connected to the world. Ish, and Moses was a man of God. Good. So it says, God, you were a fortress to us from generation to generation before the mountains were made and the earth was there from the world to world. Before any worlds, the highest worlds were made, you are the God. Okay, let's go back down. Here we go. Let's go there. So here we see there's a repetition. Repetition. Moses, man of God. Just say a prayer to the man of God. Everyone knows that the man of God is Moses. It says in Zot Bracha, in the end of the book of Deuteronomy. Moses, or just say a prayer of Moses. We'll have to repeat it. So, like we said, there's two levels: the essence of Moses and how Moshe brings godliness into the world. Two levels. In the end, it also says the same thing. Let's go to the end. V'yehi noam Hashem Elokeinu aleinu. May the pleasantness of God be on us, upon us. And again, this is Psalm number 90. And our handiwork, Maisa Yadenu, Konan Aleinu, should be permanent for us. What we do should be permanent. Maisa Yadenu, Konaneu, and the handiwork, our handiwork should be permanent. Twice, a repetition. May what we do, may our deeds be permanent for us, and may our deeds be permanent. Why repeat them twice? So let's see this. Let's go back. According to this, now we can understand why this prayer of Moses, the man of God, is the Psalm 690. Why? Because the number 90 and because of the letter Tzaddik, which represents 90. Now, again, what we're trying to say is that the whole thing of Moses is that this world, what we do in this world, should be permanent. Not just what Moses did, should be permanent, but what we do, even in our day-to-day things, that's what was hinted at. We said before, remember? It says, Maaseh Yadeinu should be permanent. That's talking about if we do holy things. Or Maaseh Yadeinu, even the mundane things we do. If we do it according to the Torah, it should be permanent. It should be. Listen, this is a very major point that Judaism tries to point out to the world. I mean, how can you say that this world is better than going to heaven? You go to heaven, it's permanent. This world is only temporary, right? Says, well, the fact of the matter is that it's exactly the opposite. It's exactly the opposite. In the raising of the dead, all of the souls will leave heaven and they'll come to earth, physical earth. And there'll be souls in bodies in the physical world. What's there going to be in the physical? What's going to be? Why should there be physical body? What's so important about the physical body? Leave them in heaven. What's wrong with heaven? The soul is spiritual. Leave it in a spiritual place. That's where it belongs. Why put it into this strange land called Olam Hazeh, this physical world, into a body with all? So the answer is no. Like we said before, every deed that we do in this physical world with our bodies, if we didn't have bodies, we couldn't do what God wants. Everything that we do, which is according to what God wants, is permanent. And this will be revealed in the raising of the dead. In other words, we didn't really die. And we didn't really die. Death is really just a huge lie cover-up. As a result, it'll be revealed that this world is the real permanent one. And heaven was only temporary. And that's what it said. May our handiwork be permanent for us. That's what Moses did and what we do in spiritual, holy, godly things. And the handiwork should be permanent. That's even physical things. Every moment of life could be permanent. How this can possibly be, I don't know. It's above understanding. That's what we're talking about. But that's the truth. Okay. So that's relevant to the number 90. That's the Psalm of Moses, 90. Okay, what's the thing of 90? 9 T. Betchilat zimni, betalta zimni, when something is repeated 3 times, it's what's called a chazaka. What does it mean, a chazaka? A chazaka means a certainty, a permanence. When you do something 3 times in a row, you can assume that you're going to continue doing that thing again. It's called a chazaka. The whole idea of chazaka comes from the word of chozek, being strong. It means that when you do something 3 times, it means it becomes permanent. That's what we said about in the Psalm, that our handiwork, that what we do in this world should be permanent. That's connected to the number 3. That's what's called konana, permanent. And it remains forever. Right? That's what we said at the end of the Psalm, right here. Our handiwork should be permanent for us. That we should reveal the holy permanence of this physical world. That's the job of Moses. That's why he took the Jews out of Egypt. That's why he gave them the Torah, so that the Jews should be able to make blessing in this physical world to the physical world. Should reveal in its true meaning and joy. Shleimut HaMaleh, the whole idea of the number 3, when it's 3 times 3 is 9. And each one of those filled up with 10, corresponding to the 10 sphirot, that's 90. This is 3 times 3, 3 times 3 times 10. The completion of every number is when it's multiplied by 10. Since the Esser is the completion of numbers. It's pretty amazing. If you look at numbers, so you have 1 to 10, that's pretty much all the numbers there are. All there are is 1 to 10. There's only 10 numbers. That's all, right? How many numbers are there's only 10 numbers. In the alphabet, there can be a lot of letters, but as far as numbers go, there's only 10, right? And those permeations of those 10, that makes all the numbers that you could possibly have. Infinite numbers of infinite possibilities of numbers. Right? A billion, a trillion, a quadrillion, a septillion, whatever it is, and then okay, you have with a million zeros. No, multiply that by 2. How many you got? Add a number 1. So all there is 10. So 10 is a sign of completion. So we have 3. That's what's called, when you do something 3 times, it's considered as it's permanent. 3 times 3 is really permanent. And 3 times 3 times 10 is the complete wholesomeness of permanence. That's represented by the number 90. So what are we talking about? We're talking about making this physical world permanent. That's the whole job of Moses, and that's why the Psalm of Moses was number 90. This indicates on the completion, wholesomeness of being infinite in this world. Therefore, the future redemption, which will be a permanent redemption, is connected to the number 10. It says that there's going to be ale asar, some sort of an instrument that's going to have 10 strings or 10 notes, whatever. Al pizeh, according to this, so 30, which is 10 times 3, this is the ultimate number, and this is the ultimate sign of permanence. 3 is a chazaka, and 10 times 3 is a whole chazaka, whole permanence. There's 3, there's 6, there's 9. 90, which is 3 times 3, and even more, it's 3 times 30. This is a completion, a total completion of permanence in this world. That's the letter tzaddik. The Ofen or Regil, usually when you say the word tzaddik, how do you pronounce it? Tzaddik, right? It says, well, not necessarily. A lot of times the letter tzaddik is called tzadi. It's called tzadi. But sometimes you read it's called tzadi, and sometimes it's written called tzaddik. 1 second, I forgot how it's called in the siddur. Let's have a look over here. I think it's called tzaddik, isn't it? I don't know if the names are even here. Here. 1 minute. No, it's not written. The name is not written. Okay, sometimes it's called the letter. This letter is called tzaddik, and sometimes it's called just tzadi. And the letter after tzadi is kuf. That this is attached to the level of tzaddik, which tzaddik is called yesod, like it says tzaddik yesod olam. Is that tzaddik is the foundation of the world. It's a sentence in Mishlei and Proverbs. A tzaddik, the righteous people, especially the righteous Jews, they're the foundation of the world. The world was created for them. So tzadi and tzaddik are the same. What's the difference between them? It says in some books, that the letter tzadi comes from the word tzad, side. So if so, tzadi means my side. God is saying this letter. Now we have to remember that the world was created from these letters. So these are not just letters in the Aleph base. These are letters which create the whole world. So the letter tzaddik or tzadi is 90. We already explained that number 90 shows on the goal of Moses, namely to bring complete stability to this physical world, eternal stability to this physical world. The letter itself, tzadi, also indicates, says it's my side. What does it mean, my side? The meaning like this: the God creates man, va'olam, and the world, in a way that there are two sides. Zeh l'umat zeh. That's the way God created the world. God created the world. He wants us to have free will. That's the essence of man, that he has free will. Free will means You can choose good or you can choose bad. Equal choice. There's two sides. Animals, for instance, they can't choose good or bad. They only have their nature. They go according to what's natural. Animals. Animals can be trained to be loyal to their master, whatever. They're also loyal to the leader of the pack, right? There's the lead horse, the dog, whatever. The other dogs are subservient. Animals, they can be taught, but human beings have free will, and free will means that you can choose to do what God wants, or you can choose to do what you want. Ideally, you should want what God wants, but there's still two sides. That's the way God created the world. He wants us to be individual, independent people. There's the side of holiness, side of Kedusha, and there's also the opposite side, what's called the side of selfishness. Yetzer HaTov, that's what's called your good impulses. That's what's called the right side, the opposite the left, right? The right side, the right, and the Yetzer Hara, and the selfish impulse, that's what's called the left side. Kevin says the Torah commanded Moses, and it is a Morashah Yaakov, and it is a inheritance for all of the Jewish people, every single Jewish person, the Torah. Move on, so it's understood. Shetzadi, my side, namely what? The side of the Jewish people is Torah mitzvahs. That should be my side. And we should choose to do what God wants. That should be our side. We should be directed by Psak Dinei Torah, the decisions of the Torah, how a Jew should act in the world, which is not so the opposite side. Ein Shum Sheikhos has no connection to God. If so, She'ein Zeh Tzad Shelo, it's not my side. It's not really my side. It's impermanent. If it's not connected to God, that's impermanent. But on the other hand, it's called my side, only my side. It's not called my whole existence. Why? Because God created the world in the name Elohim. He created the world that it seems to be a side in itself. God wants the world to appear totally, absolutely separate from him. Or even more, God created the world to appear that it is God. It's the only real existence. Olam Amalim, the world conceals and hides over godliness. That's what the world, the world seems to be the only reality. That's what's called Tachtonim. The world is called the lowest place, that there's nothing lower than it. Even going to hell is not as low as this world. A person goes to hell, he knows that there's God. He knows he's getting punished or whatever happened, right? He knows that he's not the boss. In this world, you can think you're the boss. I created myself. I'm a self-made man. Alone near Gashbo, he doesn't feel in this world, makes it you don't feel that you have to listen to the directives of the Torah. That it could be that you can do the opposite of what the Torah says. The intention in this is, why did God do this? Why did he make such a weird, confusing world? And he hid himself, but he made the world very revealed. Why? So that you'll transform the world. That the side which the world seems to be an opposite side of God will agree to what the Torah says. Then it will be, the world will be on the side of God. That's Sadi. The letter Tzadi represents that we want to be on the side of the Creator. To use the world according to creator, manufacturer's instructions. According to this, now we can arouse a big question. What's the question? Even in regard to things in this world, even if it's not opposite God. What's our job? We're supposed to make everything in this world holy. What about things that are, like, how do you say, not unholy, that are like optional? How is it possible that a Jew can transform the very physical of the world that they should be the side of God? Let's take an example, the non-Jews. You know how many non-Jews there are in the world? There's like, I don't know, 9 billion non-Jews in the world. And let's say all the Jews, Moshiach will make all the Jews return to Torah and commandments, all the Jews. How many Jews are there? I don't know, 20 million Jews. Let's say on the Jews, they don't know they're the Jews. They don't know they are. So let's say another 20 million. So there's 40 million Jews in the world, right? So there's 40 million Jews in the world, and we're going to be a holy nation. We're going to make everything holy and everything. It says, no, we're going to make the non-Jews holy also. They'll also do what God wants. He says, listen, I think we've gone a little bit too far. That getting all the Jews to do what God wants, that's already, not normal. But okay, it's a goal. It's a goal. That's going to be your goal. Let's set ourselves a goal. It's going to happen. I mean, God will help us. It'll happen. God took the Jews out of Egypt. All the Jews didn't want to leave. Now all the Jews are going to want to. Okay, there's going to be a big miracle is going to happen. But all of the world, we're supposed to transform all of the world, that the whole entire world will serve God. Like the Rambam says, Maimonides says, that we should try to convince all of the world to accept the 7 Noahide commandments, the commandments of Noah. How can this possibly be? And the Torah, it says, the Torah depends on the Jewish people. The Torah was given for the sake of the Jews. Therefore, the thought of Israel, the Jewish people, that arose first in God's mind, even before the Torah. That's why if a Jew sins, goes against the Torah, nevertheless, Moses prayed for exactly those people, all the ones that heard God say, don't worship idols, and they worshiped the golden calf. Moses said, listen, Jews are higher than the Torah. Forgive them. So if so, like it says, Tzavet B'nai Israel, in the Torah it says, command the Jewish people. There must have been Jewish people before the Torah was given. Speak to the Jewish people. Hachayot, the whole life of a Jew, is the Torah. That's the fact. It says this is our life and it's the length of our days. So the obvious question is, if the Torah belongs to us, how can we make for God a dwelling place in the world, including the non-Jews? The non-Jews, like all the other religions, would love it if everybody believed in their religion, right? But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, right? The whole world is not going to suddenly become Hindus or Buddhists or whatever, Shintos or whatever they are. It's just not going to happen. It's not their nature. It's not their nature to believe in these things. Maybe once in a while they get missionaries come over there. You're going to see the whole entire world is going to accept the 7 Noahide commandments. Why? Because we do the Torah. That's supposed to be our job. That's tzaddik, the level of tzaddik. The whole world will be on my side. Therefore, God did what? That how a Jew is in this physical world can be revealed as though he is only one side. That his connection to the Torah and the commandments, it doesn't force him, it doesn't cause him to do anything revealed. Therefore, God made the Jewish people to be people just like everybody else. That the Jew should choose life because of Torah and the commandments. We see a very interesting thing with the Jews. The Jews basically look like everybody else, right? There's Jews look like everybody else. The Jews that come from Bukhara, Jews that look Oriental, the Jews that come from Yemen, they're totally dark skinned. Like the Jews that come from Russia look like Russians. Jews that come from America look like Americans. right? Sometimes you can tell a little bit. You can tell the nose is different, the eyes are different, but you can't essentially, right? It's a very common thing. What, you're Jewish? Yeah, I didn't, right? Once in a while they have like in what is it, YouTube or something, actors that you didn't know were Jewish, that they're Jewish. And then they have all these like 500, different phrases. This guy's Jewish. He's Jewish. I didn't know he's Jewish. Right? And so when Jews decide to do Torah and the commandments, it's because they decide on their own. They decide on their own. The Jews that were born into it, right? The Jews that were born into it, they dress like everybody else. They dress like the Ger Hasidim, all of them dress the same. Even though the individuals, they're all different one from the other. But still, it's already, okay, they're separate from me. These are Ger Hasidim. They look different from everybody else. But as soon as you start talking to a Jew that he decided to do Torah and the commandments from his own free will, without any coercion whatsoever, just decided that he wants to do what God wants. And there's only one God. Same God creates everybody. There's not a God from the Jews and a God for the non-Jews. It's just called the God of the Jews because the Jews believe they're the only ones that believe in him now. They can't believe in him. But eventually that God, that's the whole motto of Judaism. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu. Listen, Jews, God is our God. And then God is one. He'll be one for the whole world. Look, see what Rashi says over there. It's a sentence in Deuteronomy. What is it? Deuteronomy. I forget this. Deuteronomy. What is it? 4:6. I think 6:4. Terrible, terrible memory. Terrible, terrible. Here we go. Deuteronomy 6:4. Okay. 6:4. So the Jewish people, because they chose from their own free will, you have to choose life. They chose to do what God wants. And of course, the Jews, it's the Torah and the commandments. So if so, it's not that the Jewish people are, are bribed. The Torah was given to us, right? It's like, the son of the president of the United States saying you should vote for my father. Why? He's your father. Of course you're going to say vote for him. What are you talking about? Right? And of course, it's in the family. You want to keep it in your family. But if somebody strange, so to speak, comes and says, oh, I like this guy, he's a good president, right? Oh, especially if it's somebody's not the same race as the president. Something they say, I used to be a Democrat. Now I'm a Republican because I saw how good this president is. And it, right? Someone that's independent. Well, the Jews are independent. The Jews are independent. They're not dependent. They choose freely. They can choose to do what they want to, which we see that they do in abundance, or they can choose to do what God wants. And since that the Jewish people are independent, so the whole rest of the world is independent, we're not choosing the Torah of the mitzvahs because God is our Father, because God took us out of Egypt, right? Those are the things that happened a long time ago, right? The reason Jews choose God now is because of what's going on right now. Not because of who my father is and who my what happened to Abraham, Isaac, because right now a Jew chooses to do what God wants. If so, Jews choose to do the right side. That's what tzadi, my side of a Mosifim. But we led that so everyone, the Jews encourage everyone to choose the same thing that they chose, to be independent. Even since the intention is that you will choose life. They will choose the proper side, which will be my side. The side will be my side, will be his side. Why they separate this, I don't know. That my side, the side of God, will be the side of his, or the other way around. My side, the side that I choose, will be the side will be God's side. As then, when he chooses to tzayet, to obey the impulses of his godly soul, then God will help him. Like it says, Ki yamod liyamin evyon loshia, that God stands to the right, the side of the poor person, and he helps him. Helps him. That's the 14th chapter of the Tanya. Shoftei Nafsho, 14th to the 13th. I'm going to do my memory is deserting me. Here we go. think it's so somebody took my Tanya, okay. Anyway, 13th, 14th chapter of the Tanya. It's the 13th chapter. 1 second. Okay. All right. The 13th chapter. 13th chapter of the Tanya, right? It says that God helps when you choose God. The same thing with all of the nations, with all the people in the world. This is by means of the two things of Moses. That's why you need Moses. Moses, Moshe, and Ish Elokim. Moshe means the essence of Moshe, the essence of God. And Ish Elokim, Moshe relates to the world. Me'ayin is something like this is the soul in the body of every single Jew. Because every single Jew is Moshe, means he's drawn from the water. Water means above the world. So therefore he is attached in a revealed way only to God. There's no water except for Torah. But the Torah is the controller of the whole world. The whole world was created, Breshit, the first word of the Torah, the world was created for the sake of the Torah and the Jewish people doing the Torah. And with this power, he can transform the whole entire world and reveal godliness, that everyone will choose the creator of the universe, that the creator is just creating everybody. Why? And Moses has the ability to do this because he's also not just Moshe, attached to the essence of God, and godly, the aspect of God which is in the world, spiritual, but he's also an Ish. Moshe is just a human being. He's a human being just like a non-Jew. Same thing, eyes, legs. And therefore, it's as though that Moses is an independent entity, as a person. And Moses chooses life. As it found in Ish, Nasa Ish Elokim, he becomes a man, but a godly man means that he becomes on my side. According to this, now it's understood why it is that the tzadi, that's the number 90, why that is the psalm of Moses. Tzadi, which that's the Torah and the commandments there, the tzad, the side of God, becomes, because we're independent people, al yedei bechirota, by means of our choice, we come a ish. That even as we are human beings, independent, free thinkers in this world, we freely think and choose to do what God wants. A soul in the body, a physical body in the world, we have the power to transform the whole world and all the people in the world, that they also should agree to obey the teachings of the Torah in such a way that it will be set in their inside, Kaven, because this is Arkam, because the Torah and the commandments and doing what God wants, the creator of the world, is to our level. It's relevant to us. It's relevant to everybody. God won't become a religious factor that's only found in the houses of prayer. It'll be everywhere. God is creating everything, and he's creating everything from nothing, a big miracle. Like I said before, that by means of this, so that's Moshe, the essence of Moses, will be revealed in the world, Ish. Lamshich called Olam, the whole entire world. So that's the idea of tzaddik, the whole idea of a tzaddik, of tzadi. Tzadi means that the world was made with two sides. And one side is egotism, and the other side is pure godliness, or when I say Judaism. And everyone can choose whatever you want. You're totally free. You can choose anything that you want to. You can choose to be an egotist, which is the natural impulse of everybody, or you can choose godliness. Well, we have Moses and we have the Jewish people, that they are human beings just exactly like everybody else, and they have free will just like everybody else. And when due to the influence of Moshe, the Jewish people make the proper choice, as that encourages and empowers us to influence the whole world to make the proper choice, to serve only the Creator. And that's the idea of tzadi, my side, that my side that I choose will be God's side. That means Moses gave the power to transform the whole world and make the whole world permanent. As we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow.